Good morning, it's Harvey Jackson. Just going to get through some news topics here, but I titled it. It's not an article or anything, but Trump is forcing Canada to the USMCA table to talk. Yeah, there's premier meeting in I think it's Charlottetown right now, and every one of them is almost brain dead when it comes to what's going on there. Like absolutely ridiculous. Um, Not all of them. Some of them actually have a little bit of sense, but they want to fight. Let's just sit down and negotiate. But USMCA resume USMCA US Mexico resume USMCA talks as Trump hits Canada with new tariffs. Well, he hit with new tariffs, and there's all kinds of bantering back and forth as if they're going to do something. Well, this has been the position for quite some time. Anyway, separate U.S. talks for Canada and Mexico test North America's trilateral trade pact. USMCA stays in force, but shifts to annual reviews until renewal expiry in 2036. U.S. Mexico talks are about 6 months more advanced than Mexican official says. The three economies conduct about $1.6 trillion in annual trade under the agreement. Separate talks risk creating terms the third country must later accept or contest. So Canada's left out, and that's the position that our federal government has taken. They had a chance to be at the table since October or before October, and everything went sideways all of a sudden. Lisa Raitt actually talks about this a little bit here. So.
Okay, so Lisa, that's Premier Frechette there. Daniel Smith earlier said we don't want our energy used as leverage. Scott Moe, we've got an interview coming up with him. He says the same thing about energy and potash. So if the key leverage points that have been identified aren't available to the Prime Minister without enormous domestic blowback, how do you do it?
You go back to the table like they were prior to October of last year and exchanging proposals on what we want to accomplish in a comprehensive trade deal. It's not a case where we're threatening one another consistently. First principles, David, the United States has made it clear to the world that they're renegotiating every trade deal that they're part of, and that part of their toolkit is to have a tariff. The question is, how much of a tariff does Canada want to pay? We're not going to be able to get what we had expected in terms of CUSMA to have free trade on absolutely everything. What's the number going to be? That is the negotiation that we should be having at this point in time. And I think that's the negotiation that Janice Charette and that Dominic LeBlanc are seized with, quite frankly. Let's not let these 29 days go to waste because we're trying to figure out whether or not our premiers are going to have a bun fight at the end. I don't like this line of discussion whatsoever. Let's focus. And those small and medium companies, they're not going to hang around waiting to figure out whether or not we can hold on for another 3 years of Donald Trump. They're going to make their decisions today financially as to whether or not they're going to close up shop or move to the United States. I mean, these are serious matters, and we got 29 days to fix this. And I say we make a good shot at it and forget about the rest. Forget the noise. Stop making political points on this stuff.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of the whole political stuff, but there's still some ships making it through the Strait of Hormuz, as stated on the Kepler X account here. Not a lot, but there's some. India's edible oil imports to surge July, October as supply shrink before festivals. So just a summary: the imports must rise. Forecast 1.5 million metric tons per month versus 1.3 million earlier. So it's going to increase. So and who are the buyers and what countries? So they're going to be buying palm oil, and they say this month alone might jump 54%, and that's significant. You'll see palm oil start to take some cues here and get some veg oil starting to rally here. Just some weather maps that finally got updated. It takes about a week to be able to get a past weather map to update. So Palmer hydro or drought index, and what this is just showing is where it's been wet and where it's dry. So you can really see the Peace River is extremely dry, but you can see these wet areas, and they're significantly big. But the crops, if they're underwater, they're definitely not recovering, that is for sure. And this one's showing the same thing, the standardized precipitation index. So what's normal, and there's areas of abnormal for sure. But you can see this area here is actually received rainfall that they haven't seen for quite some time as a normal or above 10 day percent chance of less than a half an inch of rain. You can see there's quite an area here, and the next map kind of shows the same thing on just about every one of the weather modeling indexes. So you got your GFS, ECM, WPC, the NAMBI. So we are not going to get a whole lot of rain. Maybe the Peace might get something, which I don't know if it's going to be a bit too late or not. So canola is up again today, and I think a lot of it is this drought and heat and whatever else. But we're at 809, not higher than we were a couple of days ago, but pretty close. Soybean oil just slightly down. So the oil industry, the veg oil, hasn't responded to the seeds, and I've been saying that the seed is responding, differently than the oil itself. So because the seed is what's growing right now. So and the oil is what you extract from the seed, but it's important. But the weather and the issues are growing the crop at the moment. So soybeans are up another 4.5. You're 12.27. Crude oil is up $3 again. Brent crude is $94. So you're up another $3. So there's three things. There's some more heating up of conflict over there for sure. Spring wheat up 7 cents. So we're 7.11 on the September, and on the December contract 7.36. Hard red winter up 9 3/4, and Chicago is up 12 cents. Milling wheat is up, oats and corn are up as well, and Canadian dollars up. So it's just a quick look here. So we're not. It still looks like an uptrend, and we obviously have taken out that previous high. But when we look at the priced in US dollars, so that's how the canola gets bought. We're at that same value 3 days ago, where the market had traded in the past, in value of what the end consumer is paying in US dollars. European rapeseed. So I just want to back up and have a view on the continuous chart, and you can see that we've made got a high, or higher than we were back in the fall of 2024. And that's significant. I think there's something going on in the European crop as well. It's not just the soybean crop and canola. I think there's less effect on the canola at the moment, but significant what's going on in Europe and the soybean crop. So those crops have something going on, because the soybean oil hasn't responded. Soybean futures right now on the continuous chart, we're right at a pivot point. So this is a point. If the market makes it higher, we're going to make higher highs, obviously, because this is almost a flat pivot point line here. Same thing with the palm oil. Now that there's a story on India, are we going to rise? I would expect we are. There's probably a bit of oomph that's going to happen there. Crude oil. This is the other pressure from the backstory is just what the rest of the energies are doing here. Diesel fuel. We're back to these highs here, but looks like we can actually continue to get there for diesel fuel futures here. Gasoline, same thing. Need a resolution to end that war over there soon. Canadian dollar, that fell apart. Imagine that with the news that there's going to be tariffs on Canada, and they're not at the table. If this continues, it's very likely to keep going that direction. Wheat, here's the good story. It looks like it's going to try to get back to its old highs that we had been at. That's your September contract there. So here's your Kansas crop, and your Chicago. You're getting close here, and then here's your European. It's already blown through. When you look at it farther back here, the European, we're trading right in there. So we got another, let's call it another $25 at least higher, 25 euro per metric ton higher. Corn futures still supported and continues that uptrend. So we'll have to. I think another area would be right here, into 470. And we're currently trading right at 460, and then above that it would be closer to the 485-ish area. So quick look at the markets for proteins here. You can see this downward trend. We went through that area, so the next area down here is way down at 204. Feeder cattle, right at an inflection point here too, and then it's way down here before it's going to have another catch. So this is an area right here for the feeder cattle if it's going to stop. But we'll have to see if it can hold there. Lean hogs go in the opposite direction. It looks like we could actually get to this area here, which would be your like a pivot area as well. But you have to get above that, and then above all of these to make a higher high.